Tears behind the promise. Jana Duggar steps away from her marital commitment. Whispers, promises, and Jana's quiet rebellion. A sacred shift inside the Duggar daughter. What happens when the most disciplined heart chooses vulnerability over perfection? When a woman raised to stay silent in sorrow dares to speak with her silence. Jana Duggar, the Duggar family's famously composed daughter, has just taken a turn that no one expected, not with scandal, but with soul. It's not a divorce, not a betrayal, not even a fight. It's something deeper, more beautiful, more human. In this emotionally gripping journey, we step behind the closed doors of Jana's private life to witness the tender undoing of a promise, one she made not to the world, but to her husband. And as she breaks it gently, something even more sacred is born. Stay with us, because by the end of this story, you'll see how a quiet sigh, a playful pout, and a hidden tear can redefine what love really looks like when no one's watching. This isn't just about Jana Duggar. It's about all of us who've ever tried to be perfect and discovered that being real is far more powerful. Ready to feel something real? Let's begin. There are moments in a marriage that shine quietly, away from the crowd, built not from grand gestures but the delicate promises whispered in trust. Jana Duggar, known for her poise, devotion, and unshaken loyalty, once made a promise to her husband, a vow so intimate, so profound, that it became a private cornerstone of their bond. She would never allow herself to sulk or withdraw in silence, no matter the season of emotions they weathered together. A simple commitment, it seemed, and yet it carried the weight of vulnerability, honesty, and discipline. But love, by nature, thrives not just in structure but also in spontaneity. And it is within this paradox that Jana recently stumbled. No, this isn't the story of betrayal. It's not a tabloid scandal or an unraveling relationship. It's a human moment, a tender fracture in an otherwise beautifully built emotional home. The Duggar daughter, often seen as reserved and composed, allowed herself to retreat into a soft silence, a brief, poignant rebellion against her own promise. For the first time in her marriage, she expressed what can only be described as gentle, playful resentment, an emotional flicker born not of anger, but of closeness. Those around her noticed the subtle shift, not with alarm, but with curiosity. There was something unmistakably different about the way she paused mid-conversation. The lingering glance toward her husband during a family gathering, the quiet laughter that followed a comment only he understood. At first, it seemed like nothing, but to those who knew the promise she had made, it was everything. Close sources reveal that the promise wasn't part of any public ceremony. It was an unspoken agreement, nestled within their early days of marriage, an understanding that Jana, having grown up in a house where emotions were often managed rather than explored, would try a different path in her own relationship. She had once told a confidant, "I never want him to feel like he's left alone in a room full of my silence. I've seen what that silence can do." But time, as it always does, peels back layers of even the most disciplined heart. Recently, as love deepened and comfort replaced formality, Jana began to engage in a kind of affection she had long admired in others, but hesitated to embody herself. Those sweet, teasing moments that border on sulkiness, where words are withheld not out of coldness but play. She pouted when he teased her about forgetting a grocery list. She turned her back with a grin when he tried to nudge her during a game night. She sighed dramatically when he stole the last cookie. And in each of these small acts, she broke her promise. Lovingly. One could say this wasn't truly a break, but rather a shift, an evolution of the promise itself. Marriage, after all, is not defined by the contracts we hold to perfectly, but by the space we create to grow. Jana's husband, far from being upset, reportedly responded to her moments of mock withdrawal with warmth and openness, gently pulling her back each time, reassuring her that her feelings were safe, even when unspoken. A family member who wished to remain unnamed shared, "We used to wonder if Jana would ever allow herself to relax into a marriage. She's always been so controlled, so measured. But now / she laughs more. She makes faces. She walks away only to come back and lean into his shoulder. It's like watching someone discover a new language. That new language is affection through vulnerability. While others may see Jana's momentary departure from her vow as insignificant, those familiar with her inner world know it's a milestone. Her gentle sulking wasn't a betrayal, it was a breakthrough. It marked her shedding a layer of inherited emotional discipline in favor of something more real, more present. This isn't to say there weren't tears. There were. Quiet, introspective tears. Not because she had failed, but because she had felt. And in that feeling, she allowed herself to be more fully known. She later confessed to a trusted friend that she had cried alone in her room after one such evening, unsure if she had let herself go too far. But when she told her husband what she was feeling, he simply held her hand and said, "You don't have to be perfect to be mine." That sentence, echoing in the corridors of their shared life, has reportedly become something of a new foundation. It replaced the old promise, not by erasing it, but by expanding it. Instead of, "I will never sulk," it's now, "I will let you in, even when I'm not at my best." For Duggar watchers and longtime fans of Jana's journey, this shift is quietly significant. For years, she has been the image of the daughter who waited, who watched, who supported others' relationships from the sidelines. Her transition into marriage was treated with reverence and caution, an adult woman entering a commitment on her own terms. Now, seeing her wrestle not with conflict, but with closeness is both relatable and inspiring. Psychologists often speak of how earned trust in marriage allows room for play, for even the minor tensions that signal comfort rather than rupture. Jana's soft protest, her momentary cold shoulder, is a sign of precisely that. She trusts her marriage enough to show all parts of herself, even the ones she once vowed to hide. There's an almost poetic symmetry to the journey. A woman raised in a family culture that prioritized harmony over confrontation has now discovered that real harmony sometimes involves dissonance, a passing note of tension that resolves into deeper melody. Her moment of silent sulking was not a betrayal of her husband, but a trust in his love for her authentic self. And what of him? Observers say he has embraced this evolution with grace. "He sees her," said one close family friend. "Really sees her." And not just the Jana the public knows, but the Jana who sulks over small things, who wants to be chased down the hallway, who feels safe enough to be complicated. So the headline may read, "Jana Duggar breaks a marital promise." But the truth beneath that headline is not scandal. It's softness. It's the complexity of human connection. It's the gift of not having to hold yourself together every second to be worthy of love. In a world where promises are often broken in loud and destructive ways, Jana's quiet defiance was almost sacred. She chose to be real rather than rigid, and in doing so, she gave other women, especially those raised to hide their hurt, a silent permission to feel deeply, to express gently, to allow themselves the full spectrum of emotion within love. It remains to be seen whether the subtle emotional turning point will be publicly acknowledged by Jana in any official statement or interview. Knowing her tendency toward privacy and introspection, it's unlikely. But those close to her say the change is already reflected in her demeanor, lighter, more present, less bound by self-imposed emotional restrictions. Her story, while small in its details, speaks loudly to anyone who has ever made a quiet promise to keep peace at the cost of feeling. Love doesn't always require the absence of hurt. It requires the courage to be seen through it. Jana Duggar's step away from that one vow might have been a tiny rebellion, but in the silent exchange of glances, the paused conversations, and the teardrops hidden behind a closed bedroom door, it was also a declaration. I am here, all of me, even the parts that pout. And he, thankfully, is still here too, smiling, waiting, holding her hand as they walk into the next chapter, where love is less about promises kept and more about promises reimagined. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for the next video. Take care and love